The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice.
Hello, this is Karen Nickel, family nurse practitioner, and you are listening to Itchy and Bitchy, a podcast that provides answers to your many unanswered health questions. I have spoken to many of you listeners out there about the comprehensive online course I've created to help address the symptoms that so many women experience in their 30s, 40s, and early 50s. Honestly, I have had so much fun getting to know some of you wonderful people. It's been a blast. I would love to have the opportunity to talk to more of you about the course to see if it's the right fit for you. There is a link on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, and our Facebook page, INB Podcast, where you can schedule an appointment for a Zoom call with me. I know I've said this repeatedly, but again, this is a Zoom call with me. It is not a webinar. When you make an appointment, I will be sitting at my desk waiting for you to join the one-on-one Zoom call. You know, humans are evolutionary oddballs. Unlike the vast majority of mammals on the planet, humans with ovaries can live decades after no longer being able to give birth, meaning they go into menopause. Most other mammals stay fertile until the very end of their lives, which are also usually much shorter than ours. No other non-human primates go through menopause. Surprising, isn't it? Our closest primate relatives can get pregnant essentially up until the very end. Women usually go through menopause between ages 45 and 55. The average is age 51 and may live for decades longer than that. Research completed by James Herndon in 2012 revealed that chimpanzees reproduce for most of their lifespan and don't stop reproducing until the last couple years of their lives. The importance of grandmothers for species survival might be the key to menopause. Research about why women go into menopause led to the development of what's called the grandmother hypothesis. This was proposed in 1966, and this hypothesis suggests that older females no longer bear children so they can support their existing ones. Again, older females no longer bear children so they can support their existing children. After menopause, when she can no longer have children, she devotes her time and accumulated knowledge to aid her descendants. Helping their children and grandchildren to survive and thrive ensures that their genes are carried down through the generations. So, thank you to all the grandmothers out there. So, if non-human primates don't go into menopause, what mammals other than humans do go into menopause, and why do they do so? Well, up until 2017, only 3 known species go through menopause: killer whales, short-finned pilot whales, and humans. Can you believe that? Only 3 mammal species go into menopause? Well, in 2017, 2 more whales were added to that list: narwhals and beluga whales. And all of these whales that go into menopause are toothed whales. In all 5 species, the females lose the ability to have children but continue living for decades after. That's menopause. Female killer whales go through it in their 30s or 40s. Scientists have suggested that evolutionarily, whales stop having offspring to focus their attention on the survival of their families. But now the same scientific team reports that there's another reason. Older females enter menopause because their eldest daughters begin having calves, leading to fights over resources. It is theorized that menopause helps the orcas survive by reducing the chance of mothers and daughters having babies at the same time, and by this means, perhaps, avoiding competition for resources such as food or even parental care, a job that the female orcas in the pod often share among themselves. The findings might also apply to humans, the scientists say. In the Pacific Northwest, orcas, also known as killer whales, have been studied for over 40 years. When these studies began in the 1970s, they located a pod that had a female orca that had already stopped having offspring. They named her Granny. Surprise! She was the leader of the pod until her disappearance from the pod in around 2017. At the time of Granny's assumed death, they calculated her age to be about 105 years old. In the last 40 years of her life, she did not give birth to any calves. A student named Emma Foster plowed through all the data collected over the decades that showed that if a male orca's mother died before his 13th birthday, he was 3 times more likely to die in the next year. So if his mother was still young, he was 3 times more likely to die within the next year after her death. If she passed away after he turned 30, he was 8 times more likely to die. And if the mother whale had gone through menopause before she died, his odds of dying went up by 14 times. The data showed that mothers help their sons well into adulthood, and older menopausal mothers are especially helpful. So as male orcas age, their survival becomes more and more dependent on their elderly mother. A mother killer whale's sons and daughters remain in her pod throughout their lives. The male leaves the pod briefly to mate with females outside of the pod, then returns, and they are often seen swimming at their mother's side when they return. Researchers have observed older females feeding salmon to their full-grown sons. Based on observations, older females work very hard to support their families, especially their adult sons. After this break, I'll let you know how these grandmama whales keep their younger whales in their pod alive. Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal kit company. Green Chef makes eating well easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, including keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just a more balanced meal option. I am sure you have heard the recommendation to eat a clean diet. Many people are not exactly sure what that means. You can rely on Green Chef if you need some guidance because they are the #1 meal kit for eating clean. Even though the fall is a busy season, you can work on feeling your best by eating delicious, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring clean ingredients with no artificial colors, sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup, and limited added sugar and limited processed ingredients. It's easy to be clean with Green Chef. You can also kickstart your fall clean eating routine by taking advantage of the fact that every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitian. Please don't pass up this incredible added value. One of my favorite Green Chef recipes for fall, as weather is cooling down, is creamy corn and potato chowder. It is brimming with sweet corn, yellow potatoes, and roasted red peppers. And instead of using heavy cream, this recipe uses vegan-friendly coconut cream. To finish it off, it is topped with toasted multi-grain croutons. You have to try this. Go to greenchef.com/60itchy and use code 60itchy to get 60% off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com/60itchy and use code 60itchy to get 60% off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. So, how do those older female whales, help keep the male offspring alive? Well, the best guess involves salmon. 97% of the diet of the orcas studied is salmon, and salmon are unpredictable. Salmon is not equally distributed in the waters where the orcas live. There are hot spots of salmon, and those hot spots move around. So, just like human fishermen, the orcas need to know when and where to go to catch their fish. Do they stay at sea or are they swimming inland? Do they go up this inlet or that inlet? The oldest females might be better at making these decisions because of their accumulated experience. In reviewing video studies to confirm this theory, it was found that adult females are more likely to lead a group than adult males, and older postmenopausal females, who make up a fifth of the pod, by the way, were more likely to lead than younger ones. This bias was especially obvious in seasons when salmon stocks were low. It was also found that males were more likely to follow their mother than females were. These simple trends support the idea that the postmenopausal orcas are holders of ecological knowledge. They lead the others to food, and their salmon finding skills are especially important at times when food is scarce. By being able to locate food, they help their young to survive, which becomes more important than having more offspring. The other day, I was telling a friend that only humans and certain whales go into menopause. They were very surprised by this fact and said, "Well, I think that elephants would become menopausal since they can live so long." So, why would a menopausal state happen for whales and not elephants? Elephants are also long-lived animals that stay in family groups, and the old females, the matriarchs, are vital. The old females are better at recognizing friendly faces, and they know the moves to avoid lions. They provide their herds with the same benefits that orcas like Granny, remember Granny? Same benefits that Granny gave to her pod. But resident killer whales differ from elephants in one critical respect. The sons and daughters of killer whales stay in the groups where they were born. Again, the sons and daughters of killer whales stay in the groups where they were born. This means that as a female grows older, her pod becomes increasingly full of her own children and grandchildren. Over time, she becomes increasingly related to the others in her pod, and she shares more and more of her genes within her pod or nearby pods. This creates a powerful pull to shift her efforts away from having more children and towards helping her existing descendants. That impetus doesn't exist in elephants because their sons eventually leave the birth group to find new ones. Females become less related to their group mates over time, or at least no more related. A matriarch's best bet then is to carry on reproducing until she dies. Although human families are not structured exactly like those of the killer whales, they are alike in that they are built around the provisioning and sharing of food. So, like orcas, human menopause may happen because of the need for cooperation to find food and to decrease food competition by reducing the chance of mothers and daughters having babies at the same time. The bottom line is this: grandmother's rule. So remember to thank your grandmother for helping keep our species alive and well. Thanks to Green Chef for sponsoring today's episode. I encourage you to visit our Facebook page, I&B Podcast, where you can leave comments or questions for me. Our website is itchyandbitchy.com. There are blogs on that site with some of our subjects available for you to read. On the Facebook page and website, we have the information about how to schedule an appointment with me. Again, this is not a webinar, so we can chat about how my perimenopause course can help you if you are going through this phase in life. As always, thanks to Forrest Wenzel, our producer and composer of our theme music, and the person who keeps this podcast going, to be honest with you. Check out his album called An Awful Lot. Go to wherever you stream your favorite music to listen. If you don't know where to stream music, you can find the album on Apple Music or Spotify. Remember, your health is in your hands.